Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links. Links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in the year 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, info about the tactics used on targets, information about the technology used on targets, and information about the targeted individual program in general, y'all. Like I said, my targeting started in 2020, so I have 5 years and change experience with being targeted. So you can hear some pertinent info if you check out those links, y'all. Info that I wish I knew earlier on in my targeting. I didn't even learn I was a target until year 2022, midway, towards the end. At the end of year 2022 was when I learned that I was a target. So for 2 years here on the island I was born and raised on, I was being targeted because of a text message, an innocent text message that I sent summer of 2020 when I moved back home after graduating from college. And for 2 years, I was dealing with targeting, and I didn't know that's what it was. And then I, in 2022, tried to relocate off island. The targeting followed me and blew up. I had some horrible reactions. Ended up coming back to the island that I tried to relocate off of. Did research. And sorry, y'all. Somebody started calling me while I was making the video. So came back to the island that I tried to relocate off of. I did research, and that was where I learned that I was a target. I typed in people being stalked by groups of people, and that was when the term gang stalking popped up. And so that was how I learned that I was a targeted individual. So it's been, you could say, 3 years of intense research and learning from other targets, etc. All of that is what you'll see contained in the description box and comment section. Just links that lead to videos sharing information, the information that I've learned. And sometimes, information I learned from other targets. There are links to videos from other targets that share information. So check out those links, y'all. Pertinent info. And again, like I said, at the top of those links, you'll see a few videos where I told my story. There are several different videos you can choose from to hear my story. And also this last video I posted, y'all, briefly restating how I became a targeted individual. I was actually just, again, documenting abuse and torture for no reason and gang stalking activity. And I ended up retelling my story very briefly, though. You can see it's a 2-hour video. This is a very watered down, summarized version of what started the targeting, and a lot was left out. So I wouldn't even recommend using that video as a source of hearing my story. Like I said, there are more in-depth videos in the description box and comment section. So this video, y'all, is similar to the last video, another video just documenting torture and abuse and unfair treatment. That's really what it is. And this situation that's related to, some of the activity that's been going on over the course of the last few months, kind of happened yesterday. And because of whatever, they started doing some heinous gang stalking activity all day, but they've been doing stuff anyway. Even if I hadn't seen that person, they probably would have been doing stuff. They have been doing stuff for months, like some extreme gang stalking activity. But it was amped up yesterday. It definitely was, and I know it was tied to whatever happened. Like, they're even chirping the bird and confirming it. I know it was linked to what happened yesterday morning with that person. So just for clarity's sake, this is a precursor video, what I like to do, y'all, because I noticed I didn't do my typical intro at the beginning of the next clip. Because what it was going to be was really just a short clip with me documenting a direct energy weapon attack. Similar to this video that I posted 2 weeks ago that has 7 likes, that has the thumbnail that says directed energy weapons. And you can see the title is Targeted Individual DEW, which is an acronym for direct energy weapon attacks. You can see that video, right? I posted 2 weeks ago. What that video is again, me just documenting some of the recent activity with the gang stalking and the targeting and the torture. And then I also put together towards the end of the video a compilation of little mini clips where I documented times where they were hitting me with energy weapons. So the next clip was going to be another one of those mini clips, because this month, again, I'm documenting every time they hit me, because they're hitting me so often recently, and it has an adverse effect on my body. Not just directly in the moment when they're doing it, like systemic discomfort, but there are some longer term effects as well, like dysphagia, difficulty swallowing, shortness of breath, mental fog, etc. So similar to what I did last month, I'm just doing like these little mini clips where I document every time they're hitting me with the weapon. So that's what the next clip was. That's why I didn't do my typical intro. And then I ended up just documenting everything that took place yesterday and why I believe they were amping up with the targeting yesterday. Again, over the course of the last few months, it's been really bad anyway. But it was like some over-the-top stuff yesterday. And even day before yesterday, it's tied to me doing my hair, and it's tied to somebody that just simply drove by me on the road yesterday morning. Stupid, irrelevant stuff that it's really not a big deal. And, you know, they're already in this kind of triggered way, and they're having some sort of complex because of what happened with this guy in the gym. And so everything is a problem, and I'm getting punished for everything. And anyway, so that's what the next clip is, y'all. You know, it starts off with me like documenting a direct energy weapon attack, and then I start going into details about what took place yesterday and the gang stalking activity. And I'm sorry if it sounds a bit rambly or like I'm all over the place. It's not as cohesive as most of my videos, but it's cohesive enough. You can keep track of what I'm saying. You know, typically like my other videos, I am talking about different topics that all are correlated. But, you know, it did, when I listen back, sound like I was rambling. I was tired. And, you know, just the same stupid activity with gang stalking and whatever else, you know, had me in a gear yesterday, last night when I made the video. So I was exhausted and trying to just hurry up and document what took place and defend myself as usual. So it's a very clear video. You can understand what I'm saying. Everything's cohesive. But again, it's just, to me, it wasn't as cohesive as I like my videos to be. Not bad. Just doing like a precursor or a disclaimer. So that's what you're going to be hearing, y'all. Just documentation of more gang stalking activity, more unfair treatment, and yeah, just an update on what's another situation that happened and that led to another direct energy weapon attack. All right, y'all. I'll talk to you. And this is not always something that causes it. Sometimes they're just randomly hitting me with the energy weapon. They've been doing a lot these last few months. It's like another time in my targeting time period where they're using it a lot on me. And again, it ties back to the guy from the gym and his girlfriend. And so, yeah, that's what it is, y'all. Just documentation of gang stalking activity. So, talk to you in the next one, y'all. Peace out. Y'all, the date is January 12th. And it's 10:30 p.m. as you can see. And they're humming on me. Again, y'all, energy weapon attack. It's not random this time. It's not one of these moments where I'm just like, okay, they're randomly humming on me. Why are they doing this? I mean, it's like, why are they doing this? Because I didn't do anything to deserve it, but it's not, they've been doing stuff all day. Excuse me, it's been a day full of attack, y'all. And it started this morning at my job. So this morning, I told y'all they gave me more hours at my old job. And they've been hinting aggressively that I was going to get my job back. Now they're chirping the cricket. They keep doing stuff like insinuating like I'm getting my job back. But then it's like I'm also being tortured ruthlessly to the side. And then if I only have the wrong reaction, they're hinting like, okay, like I'm not going to get it. Like, that's literally what's been happening. Check out the last video I posted briefly restating how I became a targeted individual. Like, that was another day full of stupidness, excuse me. Stupidness is island slang, y'all. And I was having this nasty reaction. They start playing against me on the game I was playing on my phone. I was playing basketball with an avatar with a security shirt on, insinuating, you know, like I would remain a security guard. Like, these are the things they're doing, like, torturing me and unfair treatment and punishment for things that are, like, not my fault or whatever. And then it's just weird. Then they're hinting when I finally have a reaction, like, you know, like I'm not gonna get my job or something. Anyway, y'all, so it started this morning at work, because y'all know I'm doing the night shift at the old facility. It seemed like they're gonna give me my job back. I'm praying, so this is what they're hinting at. Anyway, so I've been working. I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do. I've been going on time. In fact, I've been getting there early sometimes, but if not early, right on time. I'm making sure to set up and, pay attention to all the cars that are coming through the gate. And I've learned everyone's name because I worked in the facility when I was a corrections officer, and I'm really good with names and faces. I think that's from when I was teaching. Like, I had 27 students sometimes in the classroom, and you have to learn their names quickly and their faces. So I learned faces and names very quickly. Excuse me. Sorry. And then on top of things too, I'm a target. So, I'm extra observant of everyone, my surroundings, and anyone that I come into contact with. So I didn't learn the names, everything. I've learned the license plates. I know which plate belongs to which person. Not every plate, but most plates, I know the number. I've memorized the numbers. I know whose face belongs to which license plate number, etc. I'm writing everything down. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do to get my job back. But it's like to the side, outside of the job I'm doing with a bunch of gang stalking activity. It's like still retribution and trickle effect from what took place a few months ago. And it's not even just specifically what took place a few months ago. That was just like, I guess you could say, the straw that broke the camel's back for them with the whole gym thing. But it's been, like I told y'all, a whole year and change of gang stalking because of what happened at the end of 2024 with the guy from my old gym. So anyways, y'all, I don't know if I mentioned this in one of the recent videos. I think I did mention it. I did have like this brief encounter with him recently too. They used him in the store. Like, there was 2 times actually I saw him. I was in the store shopping one day, and I was leaving the store, and I just noticed I saw him. Like I said, I think I said this in one of my prior videos, I don't remember. Kind of stands out, he dresses kind of different. He puts his hair up in this style. Like, I was pretty sure it was him. So I remember thinking in my head, I remember with the neuromonitoring technology, they can hear your thoughts in real time. I remember just thinking in my head, it was a rhetorical question. Is that the guy from the gym? I was talking to myself, really, but remember the hearing my thoughts in real time. So when I got the thought, he whipped around so quick and looked at me. And so then I got, basidy, and so I looked off to the left quick. Tried not to make eye contact, and I look off to the left quick because remember, I'm traumatized. I've been dealing with a lot of horrible stuff due to the situation. And so then I remember when I looked off to the side quick, then he whipped back around and he put the phone to his ear. And then I left the store. Then about maybe 3 or 4 days later, I saw him again. Like, I was driving in my car, and then he was in front of me all of a sudden. I don't know when it happened, but he was in front of me by the light. And I remember, I felt uncomfortable in Basidy. So I remembered I turned off and I tried to turn into, the shopping center and go about my business. And then now I have not seen him since then. But I don't even think they like how he reacted there in the store. And it's not even a big deal. It's really not. I think it was more so like a reaction to, remember to hear my thoughts. And so I think he didn't play that one off good. I think he heard my thought and he didn't play that one off good. And so he whipped around it and it, I think they didn't like that though. Because they're trying to paint this narrative of me being this thirsty hussy that was running him down and ruining his life, or whatever crazy, weird, delusional, crazy, cuckoo shit they're trying to create. When that's not what was going on at all. When I was in the gym, in fact, I was trying to work out in peace, and he kept coming with his girlfriend on top of me and trying to, put the girlfriend on top of me because of whatever happened at the end of 2024. Anyway, whatever the case is, I don't have a problem with the person. I already forgave him for whatever was taking place in 2024. I don't know why they can't forgive me. He was doing stuff for a whole month. I didn't deserve it. It was random. It seemed random. And I told you all the story about what happened with him and when it started. And then I just had a reaction after a whole month of him doing stuff. Now hear the nut outside that's obsessed with him, making noises outside. Just crazy activity. So to be specific, when the Italian man's name started ticking in my head, then he started to do stuff to me. For a whole month, he started doing some horrible gang stalking activity. And I had been working out with him for a year and change. And I wasn't dealing with any of that. He was working out around me just fine. He wasn't doing stuff. He was a very pleasant presence in the gym. It's just like this kind of I don't want to say fatherly figure. He is older than me, like a good, like about a decade older than me, but just kind of like this older presence where, like that person that you can look up to as a role model type person in the gym, because he really knows what he's doing as far as the working out goes. And he has like this conscious, irie type of personality. So I didn't have a problem with him at all. And we didn't have any issues or friction. He didn't do any gang stalking and stuff like that. We were working out for a whole year and change. The Italian guy was there. I had made all kinds of videos during the duration of us working out together. All kinds of videos where I talked about some of the stuff I shared in my car in Florida. In fact, that video that led to the Italian guy coming to the gym towards the end of 2024 was made at the beginning of 2024. Not when I played the video. None of that took place. So anyway, I after the Italian guy started coming to the gym with me and he was there too, there was no issue. They're good, working out, doing their thing. I was doing my thing. And then I heard someone call the Italian guy's name one day. And so the name started popping in my head. I explained to y'all how this happens. It's just this weird psychological thing that happens with certain people and their name. If it's somebody that makes me anxious, the name will start popping in my head like crazy. So his name started popping in my head like crazy. And I remember when it started, that was when the stuff with the dude started. Like the first thing was the garbage thing. He insinuated I was trash. I was on this kid you not. I was on the Smith machine. I have to laugh about it, y'all, because it's just like, it's bonkers to me that I have been punished for a whole year over what he started. It's just crazy to me. So anyway, I was on the Smith machine squatting and doing whatever. And the Italian guy was somewhere in the background training someone. And so I'm seeing him in the mirror. And so that was what was causing the tick in that moment. And so I remembered I went to catch my breath underneath the AC vent. And the AC vent was outside of this room where the cooler, where the drinks are, and the garbage is. And so I remembered the man's name was ticking in my head like crazy. And I was just, the name just kept slipping into my head. And so the main personal trainer guy, the Rasta guy, he was eating some yellow thing. I believe it was mango. It looked like mango. I remember him walking by me and he like cut his eye at me and then he like slowly threw the mango into the trash. So I remember thinking, wait a minute, is he calling me trash? Because in the moment my brain was ticking. You just slid by me and you looked at me. You kind of cut your eye at me. And then you slam this yellow thing, whatever it was, into the trash. So I said, is this man calling me trash? Is what I thought in my head, but I was like, nah. I talked my own self down from the moment and felt like I was being paranoid, like maybe it's just a coincidence. But then I had the confirmation. A couple days later, I told y'all what was happening. I was trying to do this new move on the Smith machine. It was this new move with the barbell. I don't feel like going into the details about it. But I ended up failing the movement, whatever it was I was trying to do. When I tried to go heavier, I did succeed doing whatever it was I was trying to do at 180 pounds. When I tried to do it with 200 pounds, I failed it. All of a sudden, he goes in that same room I was just mentioning and starts changing the garbage. And he walks up with this big, huge bag of garbage. I was like, no, man, this man is definitely insinuating that I'm trash. Look at them flying the fly by. This is what I'm telling you. This is crazy, weird stuff with these people. They know what he did. And then when he did it, outside of the gym, some people started using the tactic. So that's to tell you, they even acknowledged that he was starting to insinuate that I was trash. Out of nowhere, the man was never doing that before. So anyways, whatever the case is, so the next thing he did to be spiteful was this young girl, like she looked like she's in her early 20s. He starts training her all of a sudden. But I'm used to him training females around me, and it's not a big deal. He's never done anything heinous about it or with it. All of a sudden, he's training these two young females. He had one of them come directly in front of the Smith machine while I'm squatting. It didn't even look right. Like, there was a big, huge space. He could have took them anywhere. You're going to come directly in front of the Smith machine and having the girl bending over and doing RDLs. So I'm squatting down while she's doing the RDL. My face is like eye level with this girl's private parts. And she was wearing the short pants. I remember that was when I was perturbed and I finally made a video about it. I made one video about it, a brief video. And that was it. It was just like a month of just horrible stuff. I was like, I know when it started. And so that's why I did what I did. The day when I finally did flip out on him, I said whatever I said. Oh my gosh, I created this complex. He disappeared out the gym. I don't need to tell the story again. They know what happened. It's just another one of these unfair situations where they punish me for something that wasn't my fault, or it was a reaction to like literally a whole month of horrible treatment. And then they tried to warp it and make it about the white people thing. Why wasn't he doing that the whole year? It makes no sense. You have a bunch of white people ready to jump on board, of course, because I truly did offend them when I shared the offensive content in my car over 3 years ago. And I've apologized multiple times, but nonetheless, of course, they're ready to jump on board and support because they're looking at me as the bitch. So, I mean, hello. They're going to support anything you say to do, or any movement you're trying to, whatever false narrative you're trying to perpetuate. Anyway, whatever the case is, nonetheless, so it was like a whole... After that, it was like he disappeared out the gym that day when I finally flipped off and started saying not saying, but thinking mean thoughts in my head. He like ran out the gym and then I didn't see him for like a whole week. And then when he started coming back again, it was just kind of this weird energy. And then the guys in the gym started doing stuff. And that was the start of the decline. Like, it was just so bad. They sent the other day this weird thing with the technology, like I ruined his life. I was like, huh? He's the one that created all this craziness in my life. He literally fucked my shit up. I was already targeted, but things were going kind of okay in the targeting. He fucked my shit up. That situation. It even affected, anyway, it affected a lot of stuff. I believe also that was partially why I got whatever from the job, because he's friends with a lot of those people in the job. And they used to be saying stuff, hinting like I was being a bitch or like whatever, because I was going toe to toe with all them dudes in the old gym, because they were all hopping on top of me and gang stalking and doing horrible stuff in support of the guy because they're his friend. And I was taking them all on one by one, and I was being a real bitch too. Reactive abuse. And so I'm like, are they not seeing what's going on? They think, are they just seeing me being a bitch or not seeing what these people are doing? Or is it just bias and subjectivity? So anyway, nonetheless, so the whole year and change of just torment, man. And actually, too, shortly after the situation, like once like a month after, all of a sudden he had a new girlfriend. And I didn't even know the girl was his girlfriend. He just kept coming and working out around me with her, and he kept looking at me and smiling, and I wouldn't catch it. I was not catching why he was doing it. I just thought this was some regular, person he's working out with. I did not even look at the girl like that. I didn't even know. I had no clue. And it wasn't until like this day, I guess he felt like I wasn't catching it enough. So he came and blocked me. I was on the Smith machine doing squats, and he actually came directly in front of the mirror with the girl, and he starts doing bicep curls with her, and then he starts blowing kisses at her. So I said, oh my God, Eureka. I said, that's why this man keeps bringing this lady around me. This is his girlfriend. That's what he wanted me to see. That's why he keeps bringing her around me. I wasn't catching it. So anyway, once I caught it, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything offensive about her. I didn't feel intimidated at all. I didn't say anything offensive about him or anything either. I understood why he did it, because I know what I said was pretty harsh that day when I finally did react to the harsh things he was doing for a whole month. Anyway, nonetheless, whatever the case is, so... it's just like this thing where they just could not let go of what took place. Like, it was just like I was getting punishment like nonstop in that gym and even outside of the gym for what he started. Look, the hum is starting in my ear again. But the reason I'm talking about it, y'all, is because now they're having like this complex. Now I'm out of the gym, right? I told you I saw the man 2 times outside of the gym. The thing with his girlfriend happened about 3 months ago. Remember, I told you all about that too. And how I was getting all this punishment and stuff. If you've been keeping up with the videos, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not about to go back and keep up with my videos, y'all. So anyway, my brain went blank. As soon as they started hitting me with the hum again, my brain just went blank. Anyway, so then there's something else happening with someone else in my close circle. Again, another unfair situation where they took side with the person. And they're already having a complex anyway. They already have these biased, subjective feelings towards me. They think I'm a this and a that. And then, it's like this complex they're having. I already talked about this in this video. What video was it? Targeted individual gaslighting abuse. Because then there was someone else in my close circle recently that was even more wrong than the other person I'm talking about now. Where he brought the car home at 5 minutes after I was supposed to already have been to work. And they're making noise like I'm wrong for being upset. And they know I'm trying to get the job back at the facility. And they know one of the reasons stated in the manila folder that I was given was that I was coming late. And what the issue was I was doing security at night at the time. And so I would get off at 6 o'clock. And sometimes I would come home and lay down and try to get a little mini nap. And I would sleep through and end up sleeping through my alarm and pulling up a little bit late to the job. Like 15 to 30 minutes late was my time period, the time period I was coming late. And I was supposed to be there at 8. I'd be showing up at like 8:15 to 8:30. Which, by the way, I've seen a lot of correction officers pulling up at those times. All the time. But I think as a cadet, I had to be there at 8 sharp, is what it is. I don't have the privilege of rolling up like that as a cadet at those times. But nonetheless, so that was one of the reasons cited in the manila folder. So I've been trying to do everything right. So I'm like, listen to that video, that gaslighting video, and you'll hear about what happened with that person in my close circle in the vehicle. And how they were gaslighting and taking side with him too. It's just everybody that's dead wrong that does something to me or has a problem with me, they're taking side with the person. It's really weird. Anyway, so nonetheless, so this other person, I didn't mean to talk about that person. I'm just trying to show you that they've been doing this with everyone. This other person in my close circle, she and I have like this, I don't want to say contentious, that's a stretch, but it's almost like to the level of saying contentious because it's not the relationship it used to be. I used to be close with everyone in my close circle, like really close. We were a very close family. I had a very good upbringing. That's why I thought witchcraft was going on, etc., etc. Anyway, the relationship was not what it used to be, and they kind of weaponized her against me too because of something I said in my full story. Just being transparent and honest about a time in my life where I felt certain feelings towards that person, and it wasn't specifically her. It was really more so an older person in my close circle and like treatment I was receiving from her, and I believe it was what was going on in my life at the time, in my early 20s. I said all of this. I was honest. I didn't even have to talk about it. I didn't even have to say that, but I was just trying to be transparent when I was telling my life story because I wanted out of the targeting. And so I was trying to be a transparent, genuine person. What they did instead was took my genuineness, my what's the word I'm looking for? My genuity. And they took different things that I said in transparency and used it as weapons against me in the targeting. That's what they did. And so they weaponized that person and that relationship against me and tried to create or re-stir feelings that I hadn't felt in a long time. It's like weird stuff they started trying to do with that situation and purposely weaponizing that person against me. And now there's a nut. He looks batshit. If you see this man, he looks scary, y'all. He's in his yard right now. I've talked about him in several videos by the gate, staring at me and again making creepy noises to get attention. He's been doing it almost the whole video. He has this weird obsession with me, but it's not even just him. It's like multiple people on the street that have an obsession with me. It's scary, y'all. Like, I feel like if they had the chance, some of them would do something to me. It's scary. Anyway, so there was something they tried to weaponize against me, and the timing was terrible too, because when I actually mentioned the thing with this person, right shortly after I had said it in my video, she moved home. She moved back home from living in the States. So it was just like perfect timing for them. And they immediately started trying to weaponize that situation and that relationship. You hear them with the craziness in the background. So anyway, around the time when the thing with this man's girlfriend happened a few months ago, something happened with her too. And something they were trying to do and be spiteful in the background, but she was also doing stuff direct to convo and saying some stuff too in the conversation. And so I made a video just talking about everything, not just the situation with her and what they were trying to do in that conversation, but also the man's girlfriend and what took place with his girlfriend and how they were, just all the horrible, unfair stuff that was happening. And so I mentioned this thing that she had done in the kitchen, and, whatever it was she was trying to do kind of backfired in a way. Because the person kind of, not hardcore, I don't even know this person like that, really. He seems like a cool person. I don't know him like that. He doesn't know me like that. I don't think it has anything to do with me. I think it has everything to do with what she did. Look how they're purposely making noise now, because they're nuts. That's why they were attacking me all day today. It was because of what happened this morning. All day they were attacking me. It's like they're having a sick complex, and it all stems back to the man in the gym. I kid you not. It stems back to him, and inadvertently as well stems back to the cyber stalking cyberbullying guy. Those two people. That's the main tiff and grudge that they're having and complex they're having, why they're trying to paint certain narratives and degrade me and humiliate me. And that's what it's about. Those two people. Those two men. So anyway, so it kind of backfired, whatever it was. I think she's just immature. She's like in her late 20s, and I have done that before too in the past, like said stuff and not necessarily with malicious intent, but you just kind of like putting your foot in your mouth type thing, and then you end up doing strippiness, and then it kind of backfired type thing. That's kind of what that moment was. But it was just the fact that they were already trying to use the relationship in a malicious way. And then she and I had this conversation where she did kind of do something malicious, where she was inserting some directed convo pertaining to the situation in the gym while she was talking about something else, where she was kind of doing the same thing she was doing in the kitchen with this other person. Anyway, so that's where it was like, anyway, so the thing kind of backfired, where the person she was talking about kind of inserted himself into my targeting. I saw this man one time. There was one time in the whole duration of me being back on island. I've been back since 2022. There was one time where I saw this man outside of what she's talking about, whatever she was talking about. And it wasn't in my direct line of vision either. I was on the road driving, and he was outside of some sort of auto shop or part store, like where they sell mechanic parts or whatever. Because I remember I was just driving on the road, and I just happened to look to the right, and I saw him outside the store. And he didn't look at me either. He was not looking at me. He didn't wave at me. He didn't look at me. Nothing of the sort. I just happened to look up, and I know his face. And I just kept about my business. I didn't say anything because it wasn't a big deal. Like, it's just like, I know so many people's faces here on island. I don't even know how, God knows how long ago that was. That was a minute ago. That was a while ago. Other than that, I have not seen him. Who I saw was his brother. I saw his brother in the old gym. His brother was coming to the old gym sometimes. That's who I saw. And the brother had a girlfriend in the old gym one time too. He was working out with his girlfriend a couple times in the old gym. Anyway, so I don't know them like that at all. I really don't. I went to private school with them like for maybe a year or two because they came later. I was one of those people that was in that private school from nursery all the way up until 7th grade. I left in 7th grade. Those two guys came later on in my time in that school. Like, I think I went to school with them for a year or two, if that. And they're both older than me. So I don't know them like that. I know who they are. I'm not a liar. I'm not gonna lie. I know who they are. But I don't know them like that at all. I really don't. And I was friends with a lot of those dudes in that school because I used to play basketball on the court and stuff. I didn't really have an interaction with those two. I didn't. I don't know them like that. So anyway, back in the day, years ago, I was friends on Facebook with the older brother, but we never had any interaction at all. I was friends with a bunch of people from that school back in the day on Facebook. I never had any interaction with him. I don't know him like that. Anyway, so nonetheless, I just think the guy didn't like what she was saying in the kitchen, man. Because I think, she's just trying to have a moment, I think, wanting to brag, and I'm your big sister, and I think she just wanted to have a moment of bragging. I think that's what it was. So it's not a big deal. But it didn't fare well because, these people are all seeing what's going on camera. And so the way she was bragging on him I just think he didn't like what she was doing. That wasn't a good look for her. And so I think she now learned her lesson. Men particularly, I learned my lesson too because I know how men are and I've dealt with enough of them. Even if they are doing something, they don't want you bragging on them. They don't like that type of stuff. It's just men get bothered with that type of stuff. It seems like you're running your mouth about stuff. And so she's going to learn now. She'll learn. So anyway, I think that's why he inserted himself in the targeting. It had nothing to do with me because I had no interaction with this man prior to that little mini thing that happened around the time when the stuff with her was happening. And so he just did this thing where he walked in front of my car when I was taking a drive down west. And so it turned into this thing where, they're already having a complex, the gang stalkers. The people running the program because of what happened with the man in the gym and his girlfriend. So they're having a complex. And so it's like they started to immediately attack me about it. Like they were already attacking me about what happened with the girlfriend because this was all around the same time. And this was just like another thing to piss them off. They started to attack me hardcore, attack my looks, my self-esteem, try to degrade and humiliate me. And then they even started, it wasn't specifically just that instance with that guy. That was just one of the many things, but that was one of the main things. all of a sudden they start this color theme that they're wearing green on island to push the thing with she and I in our relationship. And also too, I remember that night too, they landed a cockroach on me. They flew a cockroach on me. They were doing horrible stuff for something that was out of my control. You listen to the videos, y'all, over the last, because I know it all sounds, kind of confusing. Listen to the videos I've made over the last few months, because I've been through a lot and I didn't deserve it with these people. Like, just crazy shit they're doing. Anyway, look at the part 1, the sabotaging and gaslighting of the targeted individual, and just check out all these videos. They were even insinuating, having recorded me do stuff in my apartment with an ex-boyfriend. This happened over 3 years ago, by the way. Just horrible stuff, man. Horrible stuff. Anyway, so after that thing where he crossed in front of my car and then they started this whole color theme on island with the green and whatever other horrible stuff they've been doing, I haven't seen the guy. That thing where he crossed in front of my car literally happened. It happened at the same time when I made the video, like shortly after. So that happened 3 months ago. About 3 months ago. 3 to 2 months ago. I haven't seen him. They've been doing all kind of color schemes, all kind of horrible stuff with yellow and green and this and that, and doing all kinds of horrible stuff. And he had kind of just, I hadn't seen him again after that one moment where he did whatever. I was so sure they were going to probably try to recruit him because of what happened with her and how upset they were over it and them starting the green thing and all this. I don't know. Maybe they did try and it didn't work. I don't know, really. But nonetheless, I haven't seen him. I don't know him like that. I think that whole moment had everything to do with her and him and what she said and not being cool. It had nothing to do with me. And I think maybe just me saying that wasn't necessarily cool was maybe why, whatever. But I don't have anything with that guy. I don't know him like that. I've never been friends with him on Facebook. To my knowledge, I can't recall if I was. I do recall his older brother I was friends with on Facebook back in the day. And a bunch of those people from that school. But I actually don't think I was ever friends with that guy on Facebook. I don't think so. So anyway, that shit had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her and just what she said, saying too much and putting your foot in your mouth. It's similar to what happened with me and the Italian guy, actually, when I think about it. I did have a moment like that recently with the Italian guy. Something similar happened and they tried to humiliate me and make this big thing about it because it's me and they have a problem with me. And I wasn't even bragging on him the way, like, not the way she was on that guy. Like, it was completely different. It was more so just like this flubber where I was trying to explain why I had went to his page because I saw him floating around in my recommended, at the top of my recommended, and then they started making noise in the background when they saw it was him. So I flew back to my page, to the home page to show them how I ended up on his page. And then I ended up saying too much. I heard if someone's floating at the top of your recommended, they might have been visited your profile or whatever stupid crap I said. That they created a whole gang stalking thing to antagonize me about that one little thing. But she did this whole whatever bragging thing or whatever, and then whatever happened with the guy happened, and they get pissed about it and start punishing me. Like, this is what I'm dealing with. So anyway, nonetheless, I've been there too, though. I can understand, not to the level where you're bragging and this and that, but actually in my earlier years, yeah. When I was younger, yeah. I did used to kind of brag on, I wouldn't have done it with everybody looking, but like to siblings, yes, I have in the past kind of bragged about stuff when I was younger. I did. But I wouldn't do it on camera with the person looking. It's just like, hello, what are you doing? So anyway, but like I said, I had a similar moment with the Italian guy. So, and they tried to capitalize off it with their craziness. So anyway, nonetheless, this morning now, I'm at work and, everybody's passing through and my battery wouldn't turn over. When I got in my car to leave, I'm like, I noticed the battery was on, the lights coming on and everything. I was even able to charge my phone, but it's not turning over. It wouldn't turn over. So I was like, oh boy. I'm here at the job. I'm not sure how people, I told you all it's kind of sketchy, the feelings towards me at the facility. But I'm trying to get the job back and they're hinting that I'm going to get it back. But the feelings are sketchy. A lot of them in there think I'm a bitch. When they're not taking into consideration that it's a reaction to what's happening to me. It's like they're totally negating what's taking place. They're just seeing the bitchy reaction. But anyway, whatever. So I remember just feeling like, oh my God. I tried to call my parents and they were totally not answering. I'm like, I know they're up at this hour. Why is not one of them answering? So anyway, I remember I just said, let me just call in there because I know for sure they have jumper cables in there. They have a whole mechanic area in the facility. So I remember I called the front office and I spoke to someone and he said, yeah, man, we got something, but you're going to have to wait a bit. I said, okay, no problem. So I'm sitting there waiting awkwardly I'm already feeling awkward and bassety. Then the girl that I, had the dream thing with drive through the gate, right? I'm sitting there looking into my phone. I'm already feeling bassety. I'm looking down into my phone, trying not to feel bassety because all these people are driving through now. And I'm sitting in the vehicle, facing the gate. So I'm looking down at my phone, trying to scroll and like keep my head down. And I heard like 2 beeps, like beep beep. She was beeping the guard. The guard was at the gate. So she was beeping the guard, and I looked up and I saw her. They immediately start doing. Look, they're doing the hum now with the crazy crap. Now they're humming out my ear again with their craziness. Anyway, and I already talked about this thing with this person, man. I'm gonna go to get with it with them again. They're just upset, and they're having a complex and they want to attack me. Anyway, so anyway, she drives through and they start doing all kinds of stuff in the background. So that already had me feeling bassety. But then shortly after she drives through, then the mechanic drives through. And he's a white guy. And they've actually tried to use him on me before. There's another white guy in there with my dad's name. He has my dad's name. And they both have bald heads and they have a silver goatee. But one's a nurse. And one's he does maintenance. I don't want to say just maintenance. It seems like he's like the head of maintenance. And not mechanical, but maintenance on the property or the premises is what it seems. So it's like he fixes gates and, all those things that you need to deal with. Maintenance type stuff is what he seems to be in charge of. So I can tell the difference between the two of them. It's like there's this distinct difference. They tried to do something the other day with the two of them. I'm not trying to go off on a tangent. But they tried to have the two of them going through the gate at the same time. And I'm like, I know they don't, I don't know if they're having a complex, but I'm not. I can tell the difference between the two of them very clearly. They both have a bald head and a silver goatee, and they're both white, but the face is completely different. And the personality is completely different. The maintenance guy, he has a more introverted personality, and he'll put his finger up like this when he's driving by to heal me up. And I just know the personality, he's just very introvert. I'm just good at reading people and their personalities. Even the way he talks is more soft-natured. He's introverted. Obviously he's out there doing there are people that are a mix of introvert and extrovert. He's out there doing his job and stuff. That's never going to stop you. I'm an introvert too, but I get out there and I do what I have to do. But he's introverted. The other guy that has my dad's name, he's extroverted. It's always, hey, how you doing? Da, da, da. He makes like verbal conversation with you every time. He's just way more extroverted and outspoken. It's 2 different personalities, 2 different demeanors, and they don't look the same. They have the same aesthetic. They don't look the same. I can tell that I'm not a prejudice. I can tell the difference very clearly. Even if you had them driving the same truck, I would be like, why is he driving so-and-so's truck today? Like, I could tell the difference. Anyway, nonetheless, so he came in, and the guard, she's so nice. She's such a nice person, that guard. She's really sweet, and I like how she keeps inside of the hut, too. She keeps it neat and stuff, like how I like to keep it. So anyway, he came to and she stopped him and flagged him down, and she said, hey, can you help her, give her a jump or whatever? And he said, sure. And so I rolled my window down and he said, hey, would you be able to help me? I said, I need a jump. And he said, sure, no problem. And so he pulled up next to me and he started pulling out jumper cables and stuff to help me. And I was like, thank God, because I was feeling so bassety about having to sit there and wait. And so then the guard came out and she said, you see how God is good? And she said, be nice to people and they're going to help you. Be nice. And I said, okay. I said, yeah. And she said, it's good to be nice to everyone around. And I said, you're right. I said, yes, it is. And I said, it's good to know people too. And she said, yeah. Now look at them flying the flyby and gaslighting. I'm a nice person. It's reactive abuse. You be nice. You're not being nice to me. Everything that I've done, it's thus far as an adverse reaction goes, is just that, a reaction. They see how I react to people that are nice to me. I couldn't even be mean to somebody that was nice to me. I could never do it. It's always reactions, reactive abuse. Anyway, so she said that, and she said, thank God. And I said, thank God. I said, thank you. And so he helped me, he gave me the jump, and I said, thank you again. I just kept saying, thank you. And I love. And so I head out to the highway now. And as I'm heading on the highway, the same guy for her that walked in front of my car, he drives out from the airport and he's driving a car, and he didn't do anything though. It's not like he waved at me. He didn't say anything to me. He wasn't wearing any gang stock in anything. It wasn't like last time where he directly, like you could tell that was orchestrated, where he crossed right in front of my car. He just drove out onto the highway from the airport and he had a pleasant look on his face. That was it. He didn't smile at me. He didn't look at me. But of course the birds already saw him. Now, I don't know if he inserted himself there because that good moment happened or if it was just a coincidence. This is a small island. It's extremely small. The man lives on the island. He was coming out from the airport. Maybe he was dropping a family member off. It could have been a sheer coincidence. It's not like he looked at me and winked at me or smiled at me, or he didn't do anything. He just drove by. He had like this pleasant look on his face. That was it. But already I know they're watching everything. I was like, oh boy. I didn't even think anything, I just was going to pretend like I didn't see him, I just eased onto the highway and I drove slow and I was going to pretend like I didn't see him because I remembered the big backlash I got for the last thing. So I get on the highway, the birds already start going chap, chap, and doing stuff. I said, oh my God. I said, I think they saw what I saw. Because, as soon as I got to the next light, I went to make a turn. I didn't want his name to start popping in my head and I didn't want to start acting bassety. So as I got to the light, I went to turn off. I typically stay on the highway until I get to my neighborhood. I actually went to turn off to go on the main road because I didn't want strippiness with these people. As soon as I go to turn off, they start going chap, chap, chap with the birds and diving the birds. I said, oh my God, I think they saw him. I was like, I think they saw this man. So anyway, I get onto the road and I start heading to go to the next road. Like the whole ride, I just noticed them diving. It's just this weird thing they were doing, and I knew today was gonna be a bad day, because I remember what happened the last time with the situation. I knew today was gonna be a bad day. So anyway, all day long they've been doing stuff, man. Gang stalking like crazy. Just horrible stuff all day long. Like I knew it would be. I got ready. I left to go to the gym. Just bad luck all day, man. So the battery thing happened this morning. And then that seemed to be like a good moment or a positive moment. Of course, they're in the background, whatever, having an issue, whatever. So I'm driving now, driving up and down because I had to leave later. My mom's back on island and, she had to move some stuff from her old classroom to her new classroom. She's at a new school now. I had to go to the gym later than I typically do. And I've already cased that gym and I realized that evening time, like 5 to 7-ish, 8-ish even, is super packed. The parking lot packed with cars. I've already cased it. I know that's genuinely how it looks. So I know not to go at that time. Now, mind you, no matter what time I go, they always stick gang stalkers in there. They just was doing we're doing a bunch of gang stalking stuff yesterday. Remember the video I just posted 4 days ago when I talked about doing my hair? I loosed out the fuzzy braids. They keep making it like I'm this thirsty, attention-seeking hussy when I'm not even trying to look good. I had the same fuzzy braids in for 2 months. I'm wearing basic ass leggings and vest to go work out in. I could go get cute gym outfits. In fact, because of what they've been doing, I wrote down that I was going to get some shorts and whatever else because of what they've been doing. But I still haven't even done it. It's on my to-do list. I still have not done it yet. I just did something nice for myself. I'm like, I had the fuzzy braids in for like 2 months straight. Doesn't tell you I don't give a rat's ass. I said, okay, let me loose out the braids and wash my hair. I said, I can't wait to wash my hair and whatever. I simply washed my hair. I put a little black dye in, y'all. My hair is already naturally black, y'all. I just wanted to add some luster to it. It had been in the fuzzy ass braids for 2 months. I washed my hair and I threw a little dye in. And I bought a hairpiece. My hair is growing back. I told y'all I've been growing my hair back. And that's something that they've been teasing. They made a source of contention. And they're targeting another thing they've been trying to bully me about. Because my hair was taking longer to grow back than it typically does. Mind you, they saw how long my hair was in the old neighborhood. Because they were making a bunch of noises when I used to do my hair. And then when I was chopping it off, they were making noises as well. I chopped that shit off without thinking twice about it because I'm so used to my hair growing back quickly. It's taking so long to grow back. My hair has never taken so long to grow back in my life. The last time I had struggle with my hair growing back the way it is now was when I was in middle school and my hair was eat out. And I wasn't taking care of it and I was sleeping and my mom was still perming my hair. I didn't know about natural hair and the dangers of perm. So I was still perming my hair back then, excuse me. And I didn't know about natural hair and covering your hair and, moisturizing and this, et cetera, et cetera. So my hair was broken and jagged. And even back then it still had a little length, but it was broken and jagged around those times. This is not that bad, but this is reminiscent of that time where it was taking long for my hair to grow. I at least know to cover my hair now. I do put moisture in from time to time. But it's just this thing where I haven't been keeping up with it the way I usually do. And I haven't been taking, enough water. I haven't been drinking enough water. I wasn't taking vitamins. You don't have to take vitamins for your hair to grow. All you have to do is take care of it. But I wasn't taking care of it and I've been under a lot of stress. The cortisol levels are super high. It's the point where I was even having moments of pre-hypertension recently. until I started changing my diet and stuff. I feel so much better now, y'all. My face looks clearer. You know, everything's looking better, feeling better. Anyway, so I think it's just stress and my diet. You know, I was doing a lot of dairy and unhealthy stuff, trying to gain weight, you know, build bulk and mass. And I was under a lot of stress. And so now I'm taking care of myself and my hair is finally starting to grow back. So anyway, nonetheless, it was something they were bullying me about. And so I bought a little hairpiece and I've been putting it on until my hair grows back fully. And it's blending and you would never know it wasn't my real hair. If they weren't watching me on camera, they would have thought it was my real hair. If they weren't watching me on camera, put the thing on. Because my real hair gets to that length when I take care of it. Anyone can have long hair. It doesn't even matter if you have super coarse hair, because the other thing they were trying to they're sending me these people with nappy. Not that it matters. All hair is beautiful. But they were sending me people with extremely coarse hair as some sort of form of antagonization when my hair isn't even that texture. They know what texture my hair is. They've been watching me. My hair gets curly when I wet it. There are tight coils and tight curls, and I do have some thick fullness to my hair, but my hair actually gets curly when I wet it. Very curly, actually. So anyway, nonetheless, it doesn't matter, though. That's so ignorant to even mention. I'm just trying to tell you the tactics they've been using on me, though. Like, these are the things they've been trying to do to, like, it's like the psychological warfare type of thing they've been doing. And trying to degrade me and make me have, like, this warped sense of self. Anyway, so nonetheless, I finally did my hair. I haven't been trying to dress up and do my hair and do this and do that. I don't care, especially as a target. It's not like how it used to be when I was teaching, and I wasn't even free back then because the targeting had just started, but I felt more free back then. I actually cared. I was getting, excuse me, I need to blow my nose. I was getting my nails done every 2 weeks. I had heels. I had nice outfits to put on. I was getting my hair done. I was wearing lipstick. I don't wear makeup like that, but I do shade my eyebrows in and I put on, you know, a little chapstick and lip liner. Back then I was even wearing lipstick. I don't really care nowadays. I've been dressing like a tomboy. That's partially why they were trying to push the dyke thing. And so I finally just did something nice for myself and did my hair a little bit. Oh my God, the whole day they were attacking me when I did my hair. Check out that video, that last video I posted. The whole day was a day similar to today, where it was just like a bunch of gang stalking stuff and them attacking me and all this horrible stuff. And then I finally had these nasty reactions, and then they started hinting, you know, like that could impede the job. Like, they started playing against me with an avatar that had a shirt that said security. I'm like, what the heck? Anyway, so back to today though, y'all. So I knew it was going to be a bad day after whatever with that guy, because that was part of the things that triggered them or whatever, made them start the whole green color theme on Island. Thank God that's kind of toning down now. It's not as bad as the yellow thing where that was really like a main staple for so long. Anyway, so after I finally got the car, you know, I ended up seeing that it was the time where the gym is packed. You know, even though they use gang stalkers, that was the tangent I went off on. Yesterday, the gym was empty when I went, but still they had gang stalkers in there because I think the hair thing, because my hair is done, they're doing extra stuff. Like, I remember yesterday I was in the mirror, all of a sudden they have this girl, this young female to the right of me in the mirror with me while I'm doing my bicep curls. She's wearing the short black pants and doing leg raises. Then I go over to do my tricep rope pushdowns, and they have this older white guy with this young white boy. He looked like a teenager, and he had a green shirt on. You know, and they're at the tricep rope pushdown machine that I typically go to on Sundays at that time. I haven't seen none of those people in there at that time before. And it's not that I own the gym, but this gang stalking. And they've been using a bunch of gang stalkers on me in that gym, like crazy. By the way, random tangent, there's even this Arab guy they used on me. Like, they used him tonight briefly. Excuse me, and they used him about a week ago. You know, they had him in the background purposely. I'm going to get to that. I don't want to go off on a tangent. Just remember I mentioned him. I'm going to get back to him and tell you why I think they're using him. Anyway, so nonetheless, so today was just like, you know, a bunch of gang stalking stuff. I knew the gym was going to have some activity, you know, especially if I went in at the time where it's super packed. And so I drove by and I said, you know what, let me go take a drive. So I took a drive and went all the way down to one end of the island. I took a drive and drove back to the gym, and I realized the gym's still looking packed. I was like, oh boy. I said, let me take another drive down to the other end of the island. Took a drive to the other end of the island. Gas start getting low. I'm like, oh boy, today's one of them days where they're going to be gang stalking. I just know it. I said, let me be cognizant of which gas station I stop at. I know it's going to be a bunch of one of these type of days where they have gang stalking at every stop. They do that some days, especially on days when they're triggered about whatever. So, I kept skipping gas stations. I kept feeling weary, like they're going to do some gang stalking crap. And so I kept skipping gas stations. I just know them so well. And I know because of that moment, especially when I came home and I realized that everyone saw whatever, even the people in the neighborhood, somehow they remember the guy's face. Like it's creepy. They're obsessed with me on this street specifically. Even yesterday when I came home from work, I remember I was watching a show at work, and I have different, television apps or show apps on my phone. I have Hulu. I don't have Netflix. I have Amazon Prime, Peacock, Tubi. So I was trying to remember which app I was in watching my show, and I kept clicking the wrong app. So then when I got to the correct app, the person with the hammer that's always hammering and staring at me hammered. Like they knew that was the correct app. I was like, what creepy shit is this? How do you remember the app that I was watching my show in and I couldn't even remember? It was so creepy, man. Anyway, nonetheless, I'm so tired, y'all. Anyway, so it's been a long day, y'all. I've been out all day, because I was driving up and down trying to wait for the gym to have less people, because I knew it really is genuinely packed at the time that I was trying to go. That's why I don't go at that time. But then also I knew they were doing stuff today. They were going to be doing gang stalking stuff, and they've been doing gang stalking stuff in that gym anyway. So I said, going during the pack time is not a good idea. I said, let me wait until things, cool down a little. Let me blow my nose, y'all. Hold on. Y'all, they're humming on me again. It's just crazy. Anyway, I had to blow my nose real quick. Anyway, so I kept driving up and down, and eventually the gas got super low. And like I told you, I was looking for a gas station that I would feel comfortable coming out at, because I could tell it was one of those days where they're going to be doing gang stalking at every stop. So I drove so freaking much that the gas actually drove out to the point of being below E. And so eventually it actually started cutting off on me, and I ended up having to stop at this super packed gas station that I would never stop at that time of day. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this stupidness. I should have just stopped at one of the gas stations, So anyway, I turned in, and there was an empty pump, and everybody's hearing my thoughts and seeing what's going on with me. So that person that flew into the pump I was supposed to go to, that I was trying to get to while my car was cutting off, was being spiteful. You could tell. But anyway, I tried to turn in quick to the gas station, and I was going off of the car's momentum because it had at that point cut off, and I would have made it in front of a pump had that person that flew off the main road into the gas station and flew into the pump they knew I was going to go to. You just deal with some mean, wicked people with the targeting, man. Spiteful people, some of them. And then some of them you're really kind. I've dealt with like polar opposites, the type of people I've dealt with in the targeting. And then I've had neutral, I always say this, I've had neutral people too, where you can tell they're indifferent. Like they don't care either way what's going on. They know who you are, but it's not like they're pressed and trying to get involved and do spiteful things, but they're not necessarily trying to help you either. I've dealt with that type as well. So anyway, that person flew in, and so every other pump was taken, and so I kind of got stalled up, and there was this nice Rasta lady to the left of me, and she said, hey, come here. And I said, I will, thank you. But at that point, I couldn't go there. My car was already cut off, so I had to just let it roll back and reverse. And so I ended up, right behind the pump that she was at, and she left, and I could not get the car started to get into position. So I was like, oh my God, they're doing gang stalking stuff at every gas station today. I could tell that they're going to be on some gang stalking stuff. I'm like, and I'm stranded here. I'm going to have to push the car. I don't want to ask for help with the targeting the way that it is. And I don't want to have to push on camera with everything that's going on either. So I was just like, oh my God, I kept trying to start the car and car started. I was right there by the pump, but it was kind of downhill too. It was like on this incline. So it was just like, it's like I couldn't just get it to start. It's like the incline was causing whatever little gas was in the tank to go all the way back. So I remember parking it and putting it in neutral, and I just tried to push on it 2 times to see if it was going to budge. And I could tell it was going to be difficult. So I remember I just went and I turned the steering wheel all the way to the left, and I was about to just give it a hard push into the area. And right as I was about to do it, this nice lady came out of her car, right? And she came up behind the car, and I thought she was going to push it by herself. I didn't even realize her boyfriend was in the car too, because her car was tinted. So I thought it was I didn't know who was in the car with her, but she came out the passenger side. And she said, sweetie, just go ahead and you go control it and I'll push it. I said, you're going to push it by yourself? Because she did look like she would be a strong female, but she's shorter than me and stuff. And I felt terrible making her push the big heavy car and not helping her. So she said, I'll push. I said, no, man. I said, let me help you. And she said, no. She said, just go ahead. She said, you need to control the car. So I didn't realize her boyfriend was going to help her. And so when I went and hopped in my car, then her boyfriend hopped out of his car and he came and the two of them started pushing. And then a bunch of dudes that just be outside the gas station ran up and started helping too. And so it was a bunch of them behind the car and they pushed me into my spot. So I said, thank you so much. Thank you. And the girl's like, no problem. She just had a nice look on her face. You know, you could tell the people that have good souls, I'm telling you, and good spirits. No matter what kind of person you are, it's like, or they think you are. Like, you could tell the good ones, I'm telling you. So anyway, she just had this really nice look on her face and she said, no problem. She hopped in the car. And then the guys just went back about the business. The dudes, it was a bunch of dudes outside the gas station. Them dudes are always out there. You know how much times I've gone to that gas station and the dudes were out there and they didn't say gang stock and stuff? I've gone there so many times. I used to go to that gas station. That actually used to be one of my favorite gas stations, but not during the daytime. I go late at night right before I used to go work out in town when I was doing security. Them dudes are always out there. Never heard them doing directed convo or anything like that. As a matter of fact, after I came out the car, they said, look at them flying the flyby, because they know what I'm about to say, and they know what they made those dudes say too, or told them to say. Look at them flying the flyby now. So when I came out the car, they said, what? They said, right, good timing. This is the island accent. They said, you come in the nick of time, boy. You come in the nick of time. That's the island accent. I said, yeah, man. I said, thank you so much. They went back in their corner. That was it. Nobody was doing gang stalking anything. So I go in the gas station. I pay for the gas. Of course, I'm Bassity. I had a Bassity look on my face, but I wasn't doing anything. I didn't make a nasty face. I didn't say anything negative. Nothing. I just paid for the gas and I probably was looking Bassity. I come out now. As I'm going to pump the gas, all of a sudden, one of the dudes starts yelling, it's nasty. It's too nasty, man. It's too nasty. This is when one of them is yelling, it's too nasty. It's too nasty. Like, loud enough for me to hear. You could tell it was gang stalking. And you could tell that they told them to say that because that was the main thing they kept trying to use with the dude in the gym for why he don't want it. That's all they could use. You know, they were filming whatever about what happened with his girlfriend. So the main thing I noticed they started using in the old gym was the nasty thing and then acting like they're wiping stuff down. And because remember, I told you what's going on in this house. That's why I keep saying I don't know why the people in my close circle don't get the fucking cameras out the house. Like, you think they're just saying that about me? They're saying it about everyone in the house. And that's not typically how we keep our house. You know, they had the cameras in the old house, in the old neighborhood when it was just me and my parents living there. They had their own bathroom. I had my own bathroom. The house was spotless. My bathroom was clean. Their bathroom was clean. Now it's a bunch of people living here. We have one bathroom. We're all sharing it. It's an old dilapidated. I don't want to say dilapidated. It's not dilapidated, but it's a very old house. It was my grandparents' house. They've had it for decades. So the house is not looking right. It's not looking terrible like you think, you know, but there's like tiles leaking in the kitchen. So there's always some muddy, murky water on the floor, no matter how much you mop it. The bathroom is unkept. Sometimes the kitchen is unkept as far as the dishes go. I try my best to keep ahead of things as much as I can. I'm not cleaning up after anyone. I clean up after myself. I'm OCD with my stuff. They see how I move with my stuff. They know full well I'm not nasty. They even were trying to antagonize me with the technology the other day, talking about this damn serial killer psychopath. And they said he was really smart and really clean and OCD and... I'm hearing a weird noise. You hear it, y'all? You hear it? I don't know if the video's picking up on it, but one of the drones, they have several cockroach drones in my room. It's starting to dig and burrow out of somewhere. I'm hearing it moving somewhere as I'm talking about what they said about me with the technology. You know how they can send you stuff with the technology with the shadow networking AI software? Sending sensitization about this damn nut serial killer, and he was like, he had OCD and he was really clean and apparently really smart and calculating, and he was just a real creep, man. Anyway, so they know how I move with my stuff though. So it's just like antagonization. Anyway, so nonetheless, this thing though with that guy from the old gym, that was what they kept trying to use as the don't want for the reason he don't want or whatever the case is, because it's too nasty or whatever stupid dumb shit they were saying. So anyway, I know that was them. I know they told those dudes that dude to say that. It was obvious. So anyway, he's saying the nasty thing super hard and super loud on camera to humiliate me. And then while he's doing that, all of a sudden, this random homeless person out of nowhere, there were several people at the gas station honing on me. Miss, you got $2? You got $2? Like, it was complete gang stalking. So I said, no, I don't have it. And I left. So anyway, after that, then I'm driving up and down still. The gym's still looking packed. You know, I remember before I passed it again, after the gas station debacle, I go up to the gym. I noticed there's a cop car there. It had just pulled up. The light was on. You could tell it just pulled up. I was like, oh my God. Now look, they're put in a cop car, and the light's facing directly in the area where they know I like to park. They had the cop facing directly in front of the area where they know I like to park, right in front of the parking spot that I always park in. And I still saw that the parking lot looked packed too. So I said, you know what, let me just skip here because they're doing a bunch of gang stalking stuff. I said, look, a police officer just pulled up. So I went for another big long drive for a whole hour again. I'm driving. I come back, the police officer is still sitting there in the same parking spot. I said, what? I said, this cop is still here. I said, this is really gang stalking. So no, I said, you know what, the parking lot is still looking packed. I can't drive all night. Even though I'm off tonight, I want to get the workout done and I want to go home. I said, let me just pull up and do whatever. So I remember I pull up in the parking spot and I just happened to look in the car. I just wanted to see if the cop was actually inside his vehicle or if he at least went in the gym to pretend like he's working out. He's sitting there in his car. And when I started to look at him, it's like he got basity. He started looking down, like put his head down and started looking down. I said, come on now, you know this is some bullshit. I said, they got you sitting out here for hours in front of the gym to watch me. You know I ain't gonna do shit. It's antagonization. Even you know this is some bullshit. Because he was looking down like this when I looked up at him. Anyway, so I got out the car and I went in the gym and every machine that I used was taken. The squat area was preoccupied. The leg extension area was preoccupied. And the leg curl area was preoccupied. So I was just like, oh my God, I gotta leave and come back again. So again, I went for another big long drive. And when I came back, it finally looked like something that I could do. Like I could, no, one more thing happened before I left though, that time. So I come out the car and I look at the cop and he's looking down. I was like, gang stalking, you know, I'm like, oh my God, he's still out here. So then I remembered I came out the car and as I'm coming out, this girl comes down with short black pants on. So I'm like gang stalking like crazy. So no, like I said, I get in there and I couldn't work out. So I go and I drive up and down or whatever. And I come back finally again and it was still kind of packed. But I was like, hopefully the machines I need are available now. So as I go in, as I come out my car and I go in, as I'm going in, there's this Arab guy ahead of me. Like they saw I was headed back to the gym and they had him go there. And he's going into the gym as I'm parking and pulling up. Now they used him as a gang stalker on me about a week ago because I had this reaction, not the Sunday that just passed, but the Sunday before that. Typically when I go on Sunday, it's not a lot of people. But they keep doing a bunch of gang stalkers in there. I think it's nothing but gang stalkers in there. Anyways, on those times where it's like kind of empty, like it's typically like nothing but gang stalkers, especially the time I'm going now. Like the time I'm going to the gym now, I cased it out. There was nobody there. And the first time I went, it was literally just me and one other person in there. Now they have a handful of people that's going the same time as me. I think they're all gang stalkers. Anyway, nonetheless, not when it was packed though. I know genuine people were in there working out, and then the gang stalkers mingle and intermix into the crowd, so you can't tell them apart from whatever. That's why I don't go during the packed times. I want to know who's who. I want to know who's gang stalking from who's not, so I can know how to, you know, how to move. Anyway, so not that it's gonna be much of a difference. I'm still gonna do my thing, but it's still good to know who's gang stalking and who's not. So anyway, about not last Sunday, but Sunday before last. When I went to the gym, no, not Sunday. I'm saying stupidness. It was a leg day. It was last week, actually. Not on Friday. It was Monday last week. That's why I'm thinking Sunday, because it happened the day after Sunday. It was Monday last week, my leg day. I was, that's why I'm thinking the Sunday though, because this is what led to them doing what they did with this Arab guy. So the Sunday before last Monday's leg day, there were a handful of guys inside of the gym, and there was like a female and her personal trainer. I remembered I was working out, and the female and her personal trainer was the time before that. So it was a handful of guys in the gym, and I went to do my bicep curls on Sundays. I just do like 2 arm workouts. I do bicep curls and I do rope tricep push downs. So I'm aware of the fact that they have a lot of gang stalkers in the gym when I go there, and even people who aren't gang stalking, I believe sometimes looks down in their phone at what I'm doing. Because it's fascinating. I think it's something people can't pull their eyes away from. That's why reality TV is such a big hit. Because people like watching other people live their life. It's fun. That's why shows like Love and Hip Hop and Atlanta Housewives and whatever else have been such a big hit, and Below Deck and whatever other shows. People like to see that type of stuff. It doesn't really matter who you are, much less for the fact that I'm targeted and I have a lot of crazy crap going on. But it's entertaining. That's partially why I think they won't let me go. I think it's like the most entertaining thing that to ever have really happened. Like, I think they're having like a blast with this thing, and it's like it's someone's life, and you're taking away my precious years too. With it. I'm 34 now. I just made 34. It's like you literally stripping away my best years from me with this thing because it's entertaining for you. Anyway, so nonetheless, so that Sunday, not the Sunday that just passed, y'all, the Sunday before that. So last week, the Sunday before last week, there was a handful of guys in the gym, and I was doing my thing, my bicep curls, and typically I tune out the gang stalkers and I just leave, but I remember as I was leaving, it's like they were all just like, typically they're at least pretending to work out. They were all just like standing there staring in their phone as I'm leaving, and it was just like two of them that were kind of having like this kind of conversation. I could tell even they were paying attention to me. But I remember just getting real depressed because I'm not used to this, and I just miss my life. I really miss my life, my old life. And I remember just feeling like, ugh, about it, like just this, like a freak show. And so I remember leaving, and I had some sort of reaction to it, and they were, of course, flying and diving the bird, like victory, that they had finally got some sort of reaction out of me. They keep trying to get to hurt me. And so I remembered explaining why I was having the reaction, and it's really just like I was explaining, I'm just tired of being stared at like a freak show. I want my life back. And I said, I'm so mad I had this reaction because now they're going to capitalize off of me reacting to being stared at, even though this is something they've been doing for like almost 2 years and change now. But because I had this reaction, I knew it. They're so predictable. I knew they were going to amp up with that tactic. So now the next day I went to the gym, the Monday after I was my leg day, purposefully now it's close contact where they're making it obvious that the gang stalkers are staring at me. You know, they had this Arab guy that owns a gas station down here. And they had him come in, and I noticed him in the area. I'm like, I've never seen him in here before. I didn't think it in my head, but I was like, I'm almost certain they're using him as a gang stalker. And what it is with him is, and it seems like I have a story for everyone I know. It's so crazy. It's so crazy in my life. But it's a small island too, you have to understand. And even though I'm like an introvert, I do know a lot of people or know of a lot of people, even if I don't know the person personally. I'll know somebody that knows that person. And that's just how it works too. Small island. Anyway, so, and he's somebody that owns a gas station down here. So a lot of people knows who he is. He owns a gas station. It's a small island. Again. So anyway, I know him. I don't know him personally, but years ago, my younger sister's friend from private school. And actually that friend was just on the island recently. And I remember I had seen a girl outside of, what's the store? The hardware store, man. Home Depot. That looked kind of like her, like a dark-skinned girl with locks and glasses. And so I remember looking at the car thinking it was her because I was going to wait for her. And I realized it wasn't her. And so I got Bassity. And of course, they were diving the bird trying to create something from that. But I thought it was my younger sister's friend. Anyway, years ago, that same guy kind of had like this thing like he was talking to. They weren't really together or anything. But like from what I understand, they had some sort of something going on where they were talking. My younger sister's friend. And that guy from the gas station. So that's really why I know of him more than just going into his gas station. Because recently I haven't really gone in his gas station. He has one of those lit gas stations where a lot of people be popping up. So those are the gas stations I typically avoid. So I don't really go into his gas station like that. But of course I still know who he is. I know his gas station. But I really mainly know who he is through my sister. Because back then, I remember my sister kind of telling me, because I'm kind of friends with that friend for her. Even recently when she came on island, the friend was saying to tell me hi. So I had hung out with that friend before I even slept over at her house. You know, I don't know her like that, but like acquaintance. Like she's cool. And we've hung out before and had conversations. So I remember back then she was just telling me, oh, she's kind of having this thing with the guy from the gas station and blah, blah, blah. My sister was telling me that. So that's kind of how I know him and his name and his face is what I'm trying to explain. I don't know him personally at all. I don't have any history with him. So anyway, so in the old gym, there was this dude that used to come in and the Italian guy was training him and he has a similar look to that dude. And I knew it wasn't him. I remember at first when I saw him, I was like, is that guy from the gas station? But then I was like, nah, that's not him. He looks familiar though. And then I realized I went to school with his older brother. His older brother graduated with me. They're Greek, right? So I remember that was this thing when the guy was going to school, because it's just this unique ethnicity in the public school, at least. If he had been going to private school with me. Anyway, y'all, so sorry, someone knocked on my door and was telling me about my volume, the volume that I'm speaking at. So in the old gym, the Italian guy was training that guy, though. He's Greek. And I don't know him personally. I know his older brother. I went to school. And the only reason I realized is when he added me on Facebook. That's why I recognized, because I don't know him at all. He's younger than me. I think he's probably my sister's age and all. That dude, that Greek guy that was getting trained by the Italian guy, I think he's probably my sister's age. But I just remembered he looked familiar. And the reason I realized he looked familiar was because he looked like that dude from the gas station whose name kept popping in my head. So every time I would see him and he'd be working out in the gym around me, that dude from the gas station's name would pop in my head. And so obviously they're in the program, they're seeing this. Even that guy's probably seeing it too. And so I think that's why they decided to use him in the new gym as a gang stalker, because his name used to pop in my head in the old gym when the Italian guy was training the Greek guy that resembles him. Same haircut and similar aesthetic, but they look different. So anyway, when he added me on Facebook, the Greek guy, I saw his last name, and that's how I realized that his older brother went to school with me. I graduated with his older brother. And it's a very unique last name. It's a Greek last name. But the reason it stood out too is because in public school, that was kind of like this unique thing in public school. If he had been going to private school with us, that would have been the norm. We have people like of all those types of different ethnicities and with those type of last names in private school. So anyway, that's why I remember the last name too. And he was kind of, the older brother was kind of like hanging out with some of the friend groups I hung out with when I was in high school. So anyway, though, every time I would see him, that guy from the gas station's name would pop in my head, though. Even after he added me on Facebook and I learned his name, it would still just, for some reason, it was a psychological thing, because at first, every time I saw him, to me, in my brain, he resembled that guy. That guy's name would pop in my head. So I believe that's why they used him now, the actual guy from the gas station, as a gang stalker on me in the new gym. They're like trying desperately to humiliate me, and also to like, it's just this weird thing they're trying to do. And so I don't know why they think the name was popping in my head. I mean, I think they could look at him and see that they look similar. I would think that's obvious. That's why it was happening. But anyway, I don't know what they thought, but they try to use him as like this gang stalker to humiliate me. So they... All right, y'all, let me hurry up and wrap up the video. Excuse me. So I believe that's why they used him. You know, it's like this humiliation campaign. It's obvious that he resembles the other dude. They don't look exactly the same, but they resemble. It's more so the aesthetic. It's similar to the guy I was talking about earlier for my job, the maintenance guy that helped me jump my car, where he has a similar aesthetic to the nurse, but they don't actually look the same when you look at them good. It's just a similar aesthetic. And so that's what it is. But, you know, it still was just creating this tick in my head, even after I learned the Greek guy's name. So that's why it's obvious that's why they're using him, right? And then also, too, his name is sensitization, because the girl from the job, her husband's last name, the abbreviation or nickname would be this guy's name. So I don't know if that plays a part in things, too, or that's just a coincidence. But I think mainly it's because, like I said, his name was ticking in my head in the old gym when I would see the Greek guy. So anyway, he was there last Monday. Not last Monday, Monday before last, because today is Tuesday. So last Monday would have been yesterday. Last week, Monday, during my leg day, I just noticed I go to the leg extension machine and he's in the area, working out and moving around. So in my head, I automatically knew it was gang stalking because I remember what was happening in the old gym. So I just tried to pretend like I didn't see him. You know, I'm like, oh my God, they're pulling out every freaking tactic they can use to try to get done what they're trying to do. I'm like, the next step is to pull Jesus Christ from the clouds to accomplish the mission of hurt the bitch. Anyway, so I sat there and I just did my leg extensions and just ignored the guy. My brain was ticking a little bit, but shockingly enough, his name didn't pop in my head. Isn't that crazy? Seeing the Greek guy in the old gym and his name was popping in my head. And now I'm actually by him. And his name wasn't popping in my head. I was like, it was crazy. I was shocked. But my brain was ticking a little bit. So anyway, I remember after I finished my leg extensions, I just did my normal routine. And I moved over to this, not the Smith machine, it's this squat rack with the 45-pound barbell. And so I start setting stuff up. And, like I said, the day prior, I had just had this reaction to leaving the gym and all the dudes like sitting there in like a huddle staring in their phone. And it was obvious they were watching me. So I already had this adverse reaction to that. And that's why I think they decided to do this here the next day. So anyway, I get on the I get in the area and I set up my stuff and I start squatting. He all of a sudden moves right behind me. There's some sort of machine that's behind me. They're now using that as a gang stalking machine. They were not doing it before. Ever since I had that reaction last Sunday to the dudes huddled around looking in their phone. Don't ever give a reaction to something they're doing and let them know it bothers you. Because they're going to use it and amplify it. So now all of a sudden there's this new thing. Every time I'm going in the mirror to squat, they're having somebody in close proximity behind me in the mirror. So they're utilizing that machine. There's a machine that's very close behind the area, the squat rack area, and I can see them in the mirror while I'm squatting. Every time I squat down, I'm seeing the person behind me. But you know me, I'm good at blocking shit out. I'm so used to doing it anyway. And I'm wearing these big dark shades. I can really easily block out at this point. I've gotten very good at it. But anyway, he's sitting back there. And he's doing all kinds of stuff. I'm doing the squat and he's back there doing all kinds of faces. And then he's acting like he's holding his head and he's put his head down. And then, eventually he was sitting there looking basity after a while because when he started doing the stupidness, it was obvious that they were just trying to do whatever. I purposely started squatting slower because I had already made the comment the day before that because they keep putting these people around to watch me, I'm messing up with my squatting and I'm not squatting as slowly as I'm supposed to really get into true muscle hypertrophy. I keep doing these super fast squats and it's like almost like a waste of a workout. I mean, I might get a little tone from it, but I'm not going to get into true muscle hypertrophy with how fast I'm squatting. And I said it's the basidiness with them having these people around staring at me. All of this was being thought in my head when I was explaining why I was having the adverse reaction to them dudes, obviously sitting around watching me on Sunday, the day before the thing with the Arab guy happened. So now they purposely have him there in the background on that close machine doing all kinds of stupidness while I'm squatting. So that made me more determined to squat the way that I'm supposed to. So I started to squat real slow and I kept stopping and taking a sip of my water. Because to me, it's like, it's funny that they're calling me thirsty all the time, but they're doing all of these tactics that are extremely thirsty. Because if you look at, again, the Urban Dictionary definition of thirsty, it means seeking attention, and that's the way they're using it on me. Of course, it's a figurative play on the true definition, needing water, quenching water. So they use that as some sort of subliminal icon as well, or symbol. But the true Urban Dictionary definition of thirsty is seeking attention. And they're seeking my attention desperately. They're doing everything but bringing Jesus Christ from the clouds. So I kept sipping my water and squatting slow, and then he looked like he started getting a low basity. He did start to look like he was getting a low basity, and eventually he got up and he moved and stopped doing whatever it was he was doing behind me. So anyway, now fast forward to yesterday, when I got back to the gym for the last time, where I finally was able to get in there and work out. As I'm parking, he's going up the stairs. So I'm like, oh boy, now they're trying to use him again tonight. So I remember he's going in and I'm walking in behind him. And I just had this look on my face, this weary look, because I had been all day of them gang stalking and doing bullshit and I was exhausted. And I had been driving around in circles, casing the gym, trying to wait for the crowd to kind of dwindle down. So I did not look like my church. Like, I couldn't even put on the facade. Like, sometimes I can put on a facade and just pretend like I'm not bothered by all the stupid crap that they do. I just looked really sour. And I remember the gym owner turning around and saying, hey, good night. And usually I'm friendly with him too. I was like, hey, good night. I had this dry look on my face. I'm irritated. I was too busy studying that. Like, okay, now another gang stalking tactic. Anyway, so I heard them having like some sort of conversation. It had nothing to do with me. Obviously, him being there did, but the conversation they were having had nothing to do with me. So I swiped my key card, I put my earphone back on, and I went down the stairs to work out. So he stayed away from me. He didn't do anything. I think they just wanted his presence to be seen. But I think, they saw that I was through with the stuff they were doing. So he wasn't in the proximity of where I was working out this time. I just saw him up the stairs and then I got down there and I wasn't seeing him. So I did my workout. And as I'm working out, all of a sudden this cleaning lady walks by and she's picking up garbage. So I'm like, are you kidding me? They're still doing stuff. So I remember I switched over to this song that said, you don't have to try hard. You know that you got it. This is a song I have on my playlist. And so I started putting that on repeat because I'm like, oh my God, they're doing everything to try to get a reaction out of me. It's like, oh my God. So I remember putting that song on, all of a sudden this girl come by with this blue pants on. I could tell she was a gang stalker. She all of a sudden, when the song is on, she walking by, and she happens to be more thick, right? And remember, I talked about in my videos the fact that I always had an insecurity with my slender frame. Mind you, I have a nice shape. I actually took my measurements recently, and I told you guys this already. I showed you the video where I was talking about my measurements. Apparently, I have the hourglass, the quote-unquote hourglass body type, and it's not what you think. You know, typically when you hear hourglass, you are thinking about a very curvaceous female. That's not necessarily the case. It's really about dimensions and proportions and how proportionate you are. And so I took my measurements, and apparently my shoulders are the same measurement as my hips. So I have a 32 shoulder measurement, a 32 hip ratio, and then I think it's a 23-inch waist. So it's the hourglass body type, and apparently only 8% of females have it. So it's like a rare body type to have. They call it the ideal body type. So it's hilarious that at a certain point, they did try to start pushing this false narrative about my body and make it seem like I had these big, huge shoulders and no hips. Again, trying to make me have this warped sense of self. Similar to what they were doing with my hair. You know, suddenly this super coarse hair where my hair isn't even that texture, which doesn't matter. It does not matter, but I'm just saying it's like this psychological warfare thing they're doing. I'll show you the video. I showed y'all this video already. I don't even mean to bring it up. It's quite a ways back now, because this happened months ago where I discovered that I had the hourglass body type. It was an accident. I was just looking for clothes on eBay because, like I told you, I don't dress up anymore. I don't care. I'm targeted. But again, they were bullying me and doing whatever crap, trying to tear down my self-esteem and humiliate me. So I said, you know, let me get some outfits, man, because let me at least give some sort of a shit. And I was looking online for outfits to purchase, and I just simply took the tape measure to take my measurements. And I was looking up videos of how to take your measurements, and this lady was showing how you do it. And in the video, she said, if you want to know your body type, you can plug your measurements into this website. So that was where it started, where I started realizing, wait a minute, I have the quote-unquote ideal body type. And it was funny, too, because around that time, they were sending me people like Sergio Olivia, who was a bodybuilder from the golden era. And apparently he had the hourglass body type as well. Like his ratio, his dimensions were perfect. And they kept trying to like put Sergio in videos with people like, I'm trying to think of an example of a bodybuilder, like Jay Cutler. You know, someone that had a nice physique, but they were bulky, bigger and bulkier. And they kept doing it like the measurements and the waist, and he had the ideal body type, and comparing him to someone like Jay Cutler as a way to, like, through the technology, again, antagonize me, when ironically, they were actually showing an example of my body type. Because apparently I have the same type of body type like Sergio Olivia, but the female version. So anyway, where's that video, man? It's really far down. I think I skipped it by accident. Hair. This one where you see the thumbnail that says targeted individual, gym body, whatever. And you see my measurements there. Y'all can see from the thumbnail that my bust is 27, my waist is 23, my hips are 32, and you can't see it because it's cut out, but the top says shoulders 32. You can see the thumbnail how my body looks when I'm not working out. I wasn't working out back then. That was in my early 20s. I was my regular weight. I'm typically a slender female, y'all. I'm 150 typically. As I got older and I put on a little mass, you know how women gain weight as they get older, I did get all the way up to 160. But my typical body weight is anywhere from 150 to 160. So recently what I've been doing in the gym and eating extra and gaining weight and stuff, like how I had skyrocketed to 192 at the beginning of last year, that's not my regular body weight. I think that's why I had pre-hypertension, because I wasn't doing it the healthy way. I was eating a bunch of whey protein and unhealthy stuff, trying to bulk up. Now I'm doing it the healthy way and it actually looks better. It suits me more, the look I have now, because it's more closer to my authentic frame. I'm not meant to have all that weight on me. So anyway, now I weigh 175 and it looks much better, in my opinion. But back then I was 150 in the thumbnail, the picture in the thumbnail. I was 150, and you can see what my body, you can see from the thumbnail that what my body looks like. Like I have that dimension where everything is perfectly proportioned. So it was just another, psychological warfare tactic to get in my head and make me feel bad about myself. Let me show y'all. Okay, it seemed like they're freezing up my internet or something because all of a sudden the thing's not working. Let me try again. I mean, that's already a clear picture. You can see what's going on. But this is a better representation because this was before I was working out. This was in my early 20s. I've always been in and out of the gym and keeping up with myself. But back then I wasn't really hitting the gym like that. I was more so jogging. I used to jog a lot. And if I went into the gym, it was more so like lightweight stuff, more so just jogging. I didn't have a consistent routine back then. And all I used to do was jog off and on. That was it. It was more so just eating a healthy diet, but this is my natural body type. This is literally what my body looks like when I'm not working out and when I'm not like eating in excess and trying to gain weight and stuff.
This that go and get it with no hesitation. This that never quit. Start that elevation. This that process. This that in the making. This that started from the bottom.
So y'all see what's going on, right? You can see that my shoulders and my hips match perfectly, and then you can see I have like a smaller waist. So that's my body type naturally. It's not no big, huge shoulders and whatever else they were trying to like warp my mentality and make me have this warped sense of self. And then I can show you a video of me now. You know, this video is from a couple months ago. Like you can see it's from 5 months ago, but that's pretty much my weight now. I'm still at that same weight in the 170s. And that's a healthier weight for me and a more natural weight for me. But you can see from the thumbnail what my body looks like. I'm more toned now, if anything, but you can say I was toned back then too. I just naturally have a muscular build. I'm a mesomorphic body type, so I just always have muscles, like some sort of slight muscular activity. But here in this thumbnail, you know, you can see I'm more toned now because obviously I'm weightlifting now and I'm taking protein and this and that. I'm not doing the whey protein anymore, y'all. I'm eating natural, like peanut butter and healthier stuff to gain weight and almond milk and wild caught salmon and, you know, stuff like that to gain the weight. Eggs. I'm much healthier now. But that's my body type. Look at my waist and my shoulders and my hips. Does it look like I have these big, huge shoulders and my hips don't match? Like, it's a false narrative. I have a nice shape, a nice physique, and my physique is proportioned. So anyway, I don't need to click on the video. Y'all can check that video out if you want to. I've played it in several videos before. But nonetheless, another stupid thing I said out of my mouth in one of my videos made myself vulnerable. I said that I had an insecurity with being skinny and I always felt like I wasn't curvy enough. Like I felt like, and as you can see, again, the curves are there. It's just that I'm not no bussin' female. I'm not. I don't have a big, huge butt. I don't have a big, huge, you know, rack. I don't have big boobs. I'm a slender, toned female, but I have a nice little shape on me. So anyways, they know that too because they know the kind of attention I was getting at the beginning. And not to keep saying this is the stuff that gets me in trouble. I was getting a lot of attention at the beginning of last year before they started hardcore doing the stuff with the guy from the gym and doing tactics and stuff, and things got really gnarly for me. Even now, recently, there was some activity that happened that they couldn't control and they were doing stuff about it. Anyway, whatever. They're flying the flyby. A lot of people are getting involved, though, and they're getting a lot of people and recruiting a lot of people now. Anyway, nonetheless, whatever. I don't care. It's whatever. So they tried to bring these like super like would look like thick females around to try to create this like sense of insecurity. This is what they try to do. So I'm looking at her and I'm like, I still think I look good. Like this is not bothering me at all. And again, you walking by is trying hard because you're obviously doing it to get my attention and gang stalk while I'm sitting here in basic ass gym clothes with dark ass shades on, not giving a shit and still looking good is how I felt. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm doing my thing and I wasn't bothered at all. I just thought, oh my God, they're doing the most. Now this is the person walking by with the garbage. And then I put this song in about not having to try hard. And now they're having this, all of a sudden this female is slinking by in front of me. So I'm like, oh boy. So I remember I finish my leg extensions and I go over to do my squats. All of a sudden she's set up directly to the left of me, doing something with a barbell, setting up. It looked like she was doing rows or something like that. I couldn't tell she was doing RDLs or rows because I wouldn't look at her. I wasn't really looking at her. I glanced at her for a second. I was barely paying attention to her. And then in the background on the machine where the Arab guy was last time, they had this white girl with blonde hair. And they like to use white females on me too to push another false narrative. So she's back there and they used her on me the last time I was in the gym too. And I was there later than I typically go, but it still wasn't the same time. And last time she was wearing a green pants, so it was obvious gang stalking. So she was in the background, and then this girl is to the left of me, and I just thought it was all hilarious. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I was actually really liking what I was seeing. Not in a cocky way, right? Or a narcissistic way. It was just like it was making, I keep trying to explain that when they do all these tactics, it's like reverse psychology. It's having an adverse effect on what they want it to have. It's making me realize that I really am something special because you're doing all of this to try to tear me down. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I am really popping. And so I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I actually really like how I'm looking now. I like myself at this weight more, like I said. My face has slimmed down. My arms, I can see the tone in my arms more. So I was feeling myself. And I was just doing my squats. I'm just like, oh my God, this is just craziness. And at one point in time, the girl to the left of me even stopped and she moved back in the mirror and was watching me. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm just like, what the heck? So I just continued to do my thing. And then she was squatting down. She starts squatting down as I'm unracking stuff. She squat down in her area and she's squatting down now. And I just went over right in her area because I usually use the plates that was in the area, the space where she was doing the RDLs. And I put the plates up like nothing. And then I went to go do my leg curls. They have some next thick looking female on the leg curl machine. So I'm just like, oh my God. So I said, you know, it's late. I've been driving in circles. I'm not about to sit down and wait for a machine. You know, I did the main stuff. I got some hypertrophy, some muscle hypertrophy. Let me get up out of here. And so I remember I left and I went home. But then they started humming on me when I got to the house. I'm like, it was a whole day of gang stalking and you basically punishing me still and torturing me. And I know some of it is fallout from what happened in the morning time. Something that was out of my control. And something that wasn't even that serious anyway. I don't think it's that serious. But anyway, now I have to do what you using the energy weapon on me and it causes systemic discomfort and I'm already exhausted from the shit you were doing all day. So it's like, nah, man, let me make a video about this because I wasn't going to make a video. They know this is bullshit that they're doing. I was not going to make a video. I was like, nah, man, I am definitely going to make a video now. So that's what's going on, y'all. Oh, and I think also, too, I was playing a video, a water fasting video, and they were inserting a bunch of shadow networking stuff, too, false narratives as usual. And I was like, nah, man, let me make a video for real about this craziness. So anyway, y'all, it's just documentation again of, you know, more gaslighting and torture of an innocent person and punishment for things that I don't deserve punishment for. And just documentation, man, y'all. It's just craziness. So there's just documentation, y'all. I just had to talk about it. All right, so I'll talk to you. It's just, I guess you could say, an update of my situation and the gang stalking and the torture. Anyway, I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Hey, y'all, just one more quick update. I do have my first doctor's, like official doctor's appointment to figure out what's going on with me, with the injury, happening tomorrow. So it's a pelvic ultrasound that's going to be happening. I'm going to see if they can do an ultrasound of my belly button also, because I do think something's going on there, like possible hernia, just because something that recently happened when I was in the gym squatting. Like I told y'all, if you've been keeping up with my videos, I did make progress with the injury from doing at-home stuff, natural stuff, changing my diet, drinking a lot of healthy juices. I did a juice fast for stem cell production, etc. I've been doing pelvic floor exercises. So those things have been working, and the bulge that was in my private part area, and again, y'all, I talked about this in recent videos, so you'll have to have been keeping up with my videos to know what I'm talking about with this injury. Anyway, the bulge that was there in my private part area after that week of intense, workout activity disappeared, and the pressure that I was feeling in that area disappeared. But the only, I would say, lingering symptoms are that my bladder area, to me, looks a little bit bloated if I'm not holding my stomach in. Not like necessarily to say something's protruding, but it just looks a little bloated to me if I don't hold my stomach in. And then both of my obliques looked like super prominent, almost like they were swollen, as if they were swollen. But if you listen to my prior videos, you have heard me say that both doctors told me that that was normal, that they look normal. So it might just be like a muscle strain. But those are the lingering symptoms, I would say. Just what looked like a swelling to me. Maybe it's just because it feels tight to me is why I feel like it looks swollen, especially in the right oblique. It just feels tight at the bottom part, by the area where you would call love handle, or the bottom of your oblique. The area just feels tight, and sometimes I feel activity there if I squat and I don't, do the proper technique, and if I'm not extra careful and I decide to go a little heavier, I feel some activity there in that right oblique. And then last Friday when I was squatting, I again didn't take my time. I was just, basity, flustered from the gang stalking in the background, and my heart was racing that night because I hadn't gotten enough rest during the day, and then I stupidly drank black coffee before I got to the gym. So Friday I was, having a basity moment, and I wasn't squatting properly. Again, I tried to do the technique, but, it was kind of off. And then I started to feel like tightness in my right oblique. And then I also felt like this weird sensation, I would say down by like the corner of my bladder, by the right side of my bladder, or at the top of my right groin, in the area where they say inguinal hernias happen. I did feel some weird activity there that I hadn't felt before. And it almost felt like something might have, started to happen down there. It was this burning sensation, like what they describe happens with a hernia. And I remember standing up and looking in my pants real quick, and I didn't see any bulge. So that's what's making me suspect it actually could possibly be, God forbid, a hernia. And then yesterday when I was squatting, I went a little bit heavier. I added 5 plates on the barbell, but I was careful. I was squatting carefully. I was doing the breathing technique. So I wasn't feeling discomfort, but I did look in the mirror and notice by my belly button area, it looked like something was like a slight bulge might have been happening. I'm not sure if it was just my shirt crinkling or what was going on, but it did look like some sort of pocket happening when I was coming up from the squat. And I hadn't noticed that before. I wasn't feeling anything. And so like I've said in prior videos, I did significantly improve the state of whatever it is that's going on down there. At least it's not bulging into my private area anymore, and I don't have the pressure in my private area anymore, or the swelling in my pelvis, but there's definitely still something going on. There's some sort of activity going on down there that I can't really determine what it is. I'm not a doctor, but I know I don't feel 100% down there. There's something is off, whether it's just like an extreme muscle strain that's extending into my lower regions, or it was like a slight prolapse that I started to reverse, or it was a hernia that I somehow got to go all the way back inside of me. I don't know what it is, y'all, but just an update that's coming, right? I have my pelvic ultrasound tomorrow. On the 20th, I have an appointment with the clinic OBGYN. And then on the 28th, I have an appointment with the initial doctor that I saw for the clinic, where we're going to go over the pelvic ultrasound results, and I guess, maybe discuss whatever it is that I don't think we're going to discuss what I talk about with the OB/GYN, but so over the course of the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be getting hopefully some sort of answer to whatever it is that took place with this injury. So that's just an update. I'll keep y'all posted. All right, peace out.